Good morning, and thank you everybody for joining us today. My name is Jim Alston. I'm the superintendent at Kettlersville Public Schools in the Grand Rapids area. I'm honored to moderate today's discussion and also represent Kellogg'sville and many other districts around the state around this important conversation. It's a conversation that centers around the safety of our students, our families, and our communities. Um, why are we here today? We are here because keeping children safe is not an option. This is something that needs to be a shared responsibility that we all partake in. As school leaders, we carry this fear that we're going to receive a phone call one morning that one of our students is unfortunately hurt or even worse, killed by gun violence or an accidental shooting as well. And this is something that drives us as school leaders to keep schools safe and our families safe at the same time. So we need to make sure we continue addressing this fear head on. Um, so today we are brought together by End Gun Violence Michigan. This is a coalition of organizations and advocates committed to making sure that parents and caregivers receive the safe home, safe schools resources across the state. Today we're going to focus on Michigan's newest law, which is an expansion upon the secure storage law that was passed recently. Under this new law, all Michigan school districts, public and private, are required to inform and remind parents annually about the importance of legal responsibility of storing our firearms securely. In Michigan, our child access prevention law requires that unattended firearms be securely stored in gun safe or unloaded with locking device in places where children live or when they are visiting a home. This law exists for a reason, and I gathered a couple of stats just to share with you regarding some of these laws. So in 2021, a study estimated 4.6 million children in the United States live in a home with at least one unlocked or unsecured firearm. A 2019 study claims almost 3 out of 4 school shooters obtain their weapon from a parent or close relative's home. And a more recent study says that 60% of all of us are survivors of gun violence or at least personally know someone whose life has been altered or impacted by it. These are not abstract statistics. They represent real families, real communities, and real loss. Um, why am I here today? At Kellogg'sville, the issue is deeply personal, and one of our staff members has experienced herself 2 devastating tragedies related to firearms being in the wrong hands. One, her father was shot and killed while he was working. And second, her younger brother was accidentally shot by his best friend when they were both too young to understand the consequences of playing with a gun. Guided by her courage and advocacy, Kelsville Public Schools passed a board resolution urging secure firearm storage even before recent legislation required action. We continue to distribute educational materials and gun locks, engage families at community events, and hold open discussions about responsible firearm storage. We continue to be committed to this work, and we hope to be leading by example in protecting our students and families. With that, I'm pleased to begin today's webinar by introducing our first of 4 distinguished guests. Mary Teachout is a school safety consultant with the Michigan Department of Education's Office of Health and Safety. She will walk us through what school districts are required to do under the new Safe Homes, Safe Schools law.
All right. Thanks, Jim. How's everybody doing this morning? Thanks for joining us. I'm going to be just kind of walking through a couple of minutes of what the law actually states. There are actually 2 parts to this legislation. And as Jim said, I am with the Office of Health and Safety with the Michigan Department of Education. I'm the school safety consultant here. So I do suspensions, expulsions, just some general safety work in the department, kind of whatever else is thrown my way. I started my life there in health and physical education before I moved into the school safety realm. So you can go ahead and move the slide. So this is, again, as I said, is in two parts, really. So the first part, this 380 1313A is around the development of the resources that schools are required to put out. So this 1313A says that DHHS has to develop the information. It has to be provided to MDE. And then we provide that informational notice and have these resources on our website. They're required in English, Spanish, and Arabic. However, DHHS has put them in several languages on the website, which is really cool. So if you haven't taken a look or haven't linked, then that is part of the requirement. And DHHS is required to annually update those if there's any changes in the law. Of course, if there's not going to be any changes, they're not going to get updated. But as changes happen, then those resources will be updated as needed. Okay, next slide. So this is the second part. So the 380.13.13b, starting October 1st of this last year, the resources were required to be posted on the MDE page, which we have done. And as Jim said, this is districts, ISD, and non-public schools are responsible for making sure that this information gets out. So it is every district in the state. There are no exceptions to this one. They have to distribute it to the parent or legal guardian of each student. How that's going to happen is really going to be up to the schools. They can post it on their website, they can send it through emails, through newsletters, that kind of thing, but that information is required to be distributed. And you can post the links from the MDE page on the district's website as well. So that would be the way to link them on your website, is to just link them through the MDE website, which gives you access to all of those resources that are required. Okay, next slide. This is what the page looks like for MDE. And I believe these slides are going to be sent to everybody, so you'll have these active links that you'll be able to get through. And what you'll notice at the top of the website page, so we have the safe storage legislation that Jim had mentioned earlier, that what is actually the safe storage law. And then this requirement for schools to distribute is that next piece. So the next piece that you'll see is this document schools are required to distribute, and those are the two pieces that are required in legislation that schools have to link to, have to disseminate. So the safe storage notice and what is the secure storage law in Michigan. And as I said, you can see all of the different languages that these are offered in, which is really cool. And then there are some additional resources there that schools may also find helpful. So again, you'll be able to have those links when the presentation is sent out. And then the next slide is my contact information. So if you have any questions or are having a difficult time getting to the resources, you can just let me know. Okay, I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Mary. We appreciate the MDE being part of this conversation. Next, we have Lisa Roscoe, who's the Vice President for Unit Support with Michigan PTA. Michigan PTA has been a staunch advocate for education on secure firearm storage. Lisa is here to explain why this issue is important to parents and teachers, and to outline actions that school districts can take to make safe homes, safe schools, materials more accessible to parents. Lisa.
Good morning, everyone. As Jim has said, my name is Lisa Roscoe, and I am the Vice President of Unit Support for Michigan PTA, as well as a parent in the Rochester Community School District with a 2022 and 2025 graduate of Rochester High School, and now a senior and freshman at MSU. I am also the representative of Michigan PTA on End Gun Violence Michigan's Safe Homes, Safe Schools implementation team. As a parent of a student who was at Michigan State University during the shooting that happened 3 years ago, I was terrified for the safety of my son and the friends he was with. I found myself thinking, how can this be happening? It was surreal. You always pray and hope that it's not going to happen to you. The panic of not getting a response from my son for an hour felt like an eternity. It was a relief to finally hear from him as he sheltered in place and was with his friends until the police came and found them. And the grief and survivor's guilt for those who were not okay is also a struggle for our family, as is helping our son with healing in the aftermath of such a tragedy. As these shootings keep on happening across the country, I am angry to see that so many families are losing their children and experiencing the same fears that we felt. This is why secure storage is an important national PTA passed important apologize. This is why secure storage is so important. National PTA passed a safe storage resolution in 2024 calling on PTAs in every state to advocate for secure storage. And right as the shooting at MSU happened, I happened to be at a Board of Education meeting where they were passing one of their safe storage resolutions in my home district of Rochester. Secure storage can save lives. This is why Michigan PTA supports the implementation of safe homes, safe schools. It is essential that parents and kids feel safe to go to school. We can reinforce a culture of safety by educating about secure storage and making it a common practice and point of conversation. Implementing safe homes, safe schools is a crucial step every district should take to get information about secure firearm storage to legal guardians such as parents and caregivers. Michigan PTA would like to share with you all some guidelines and ideas on how to make this information more accessible to your parent and caregiver community. When posting to your website, we suggest MDE's link be posted somewhere that parents frequent, such as a parent's resource page or a designated place on the main page. We also recommend providing context as to why this information is important and recommend utilizing the translations that are available on MDE's website. On the screen are a few examples. Kellogg'sville has a comprehensive resource page including information on securely storing firearms, why it is important for student safety, and resources on how to talk to other parents and relatives about securely storing their firearms. You can find Royal Oak's secure storage page under quick links off the district's main page, which makes their resources easy to find. Your notifications is most accessible when it's done through whatever networks you already use to talk to parents, such as via emails or parent apps. Making sure that the notification is not buried in a newsletter, but shared out by itself with context for why secure firearm storage is important will help the information reach parents and caregivers more effectively. We also recommend sending it out more frequently, especially before holiday breaks or at the end of the school year, to reinforce the message during a time when kids are going to be spending more time at home with extended family. On the screen, you can see an example from Kentwood Public Schools and Fraser, both of which provide context about the law, information about how to securely store firearms and access locking devices, and directly link back to the district's webpage where the Safe Homes, Safe Schools resources live. We'd also like to encourage districts to take this work a step further. There are also additional resources on MDE's webpage that you can share beyond what is required. For example, caregivers may want to ask relatives or other parents if their guns are securely stored before bringing their kids over to their house. Be smart. which is a secure storage education program through every town, has resources about how to make the ask in a way that is open and non-confrontational. Some school districts, including some of you on this call, have also passed secure storage resolutions at the board level. This is a commitment that you can make as a district to take additional action to educate parents and caregivers and provide resources for secure storage. You do not need to pass a resolution to take these actions, but can show your dedication to your youth safety at school and at home. Additional actions you can take beyond notifications include, but are not limited to, sending home a paper notification that parents and caregivers have to sign and return to the school to indicate their commitment to securely storing their firearms. Allowing community advocates such as Be Smart to table at your parent events, parent-teacher conferences, curriculum nights, athletic events, performing arts events, learning fairs, and provide free gun locks and education at the table. For example, many PTAs have Be Smart attend their meetings and present on secure storage. When you allow advocates to come where parents already are, you will reach more people than if you try and organize separate event just about secure storage. You could have free gun locks available through the district, such as in offices to be picked up by parents when they come to get their children or come in the building for other activities, and also have them available for your school counselors and social workers as part of suicide assessments and behavioral assessments. Utilizing social media to promote the importance of secure storage, as well as the resources your district commits to provide, helps to get the message out to your community. Michigan PTA hopes that you will consider taking these additional actions if you have not already. We are happy to connect you with resources to make these steps happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. We appreciate the perspective from parents and PTA. So we appreciate you being on the webinar today. Next, Dr. Brianna Scott is a postdoctoral research fellow with the University of Michigan Institute for Firearm Injury Prevention, or IFIP. This has comprehensive resources on school safety through the Michigan School Safety Initiative, and Brianna will speak about additional considerations for safe homes, safe schools implementation, and how we can view this law in the broader context of school safety. Brianna.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to speak with you all today about some considerations for schools in implementing the Safe Home, Safe Schools law. Again, my name is Brianna Scott, and I'm a researcher at the University of Michigan Institute for Firearm Injury Prevention, where we also house the National Center for School Safety and the Michigan School Safety Initiative, otherwise known as MSSI. MSSI works with pre-K-12 schools in Michigan to improve school safety, prevent violence, and create supportive learning environments. And as a part of the National Center for School Safety, the Michigan School Safety Initiative is based at the Institute for Firearm Injury Prevention, or IFIP. And we are funded by the state to provide free, personalized support to school communities implementing and sustaining evidence-based safety practices that are specifically tailored to meet the needs of each individual school or district. Next slide. So kind of picking up where Lisa left off, these are some tips that we recommend for effective messaging based on your individual community school district. So generally, we recommend that we frame communications around responsible firearm ownership. Many firearm owners connect strongly with messages that affirm their identity as a responsible, safety-minded individual, taking kind of a positively valenced approach. Highlighting the shared community responsibility in secure firearm storage, that everyone has a role to play in keeping communities safe and keeping firearms stored safely. Um, and, parents who do not own firearms can play a part in promoting safety, again, by asking about firearms in the homes of those in which their students frequently visit, sharing resources widely across the community, and also encouraging conversations among friends, family, and other caregivers. It can be challenging to have conversations about firearms, and I'll get to that a little bit later. Recognizing that firearm owners have varied storage requirements depending on their intended use of their firearm. So whether it's hunting, sport shooting, personal protection, and highlighting that there's a range of secure storage options, such as cable locks, lock boxes, and biometric safes. Also, being transparent about the challenges and being honest and upfront, recognizing that families may own multiple firearms, which can make this, secure storage goal complex and potentially costly to secure each of their firearms appropriately, aligned with our best practices. So again, offering kind of practical tips, resources, and when possible, providing and connecting families with programs or resources that can offset the costs of secure storage. And it's really important that we use trauma-informed and culturally responsive language when we're talking about firearm violence and secure storage, acknowledging that firearm-related discussions may be triggering for some folks, and using non-judgmental and supportive language that avoids blame or shame, encouraging empathetic and open dialogue, active listening, and conversations around firearm storage, and offering content warnings before discussing potentially distressing information, perhaps at a community event or even one-on-one with parents or families, and avoiding any sensational or graphic details in words or images. We want to prioritize emotional safety by prioritizing individuals to control their participation in conversations around firearm storage, and creating an atmosphere in where it's a safe space to have conversations that will be mutually beneficial. And as always, we always recommend sharing information and support resources like the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline and local counseling services whenever we're having conversations around violence and firearm violence in particular as well. Next slide. So again, I mentioned that it can be hard to have conversations around firearm storage. We often kind of equate it to, if your child has a peanut allergy or a food allergy, typically, as a parent, you maybe want to inform other parents or your school about your student's allergies so that they can take necessary precautions and know not to expose your child to a food that they may or may not be allergic to. And we want to take maybe a similar thinking when it comes to conversations around firearm violence, normalizing them, asking, the adults in which your children may be visiting their homes, if they have firearms, and if you do have firearms, how do you store them? Sharing, schools can, we again recommending sharing information in multiple formats at multiple times of the year. This includes back to school night, parent-teacher conferences, large school events. You're also at the school, with this new implementation of this new communications law, your staff and teachers may be getting questions about this from families and caregivers. So ensuring that your staff is trained and equipped to answer those questions, or designating a person in your school building or at the district that you can then direct these questions to, so that your families know who they can go to that can answer their questions or concerns about secure storage. And a reminder that it's important for all families, again, including those that do not own firearms, to stay informed about all this information. Again, when children are visiting multiple homes or going to multiple locations, asking those adults about secure storage, and limiting the possibility that a child may encounter an unsecure firearm. Just hope, working to normalize these conversations about safe storage with everyone's goal in mind of ultimately keeping children safe. Next slide. And at the Michigan School Safety Initiative, we encourage schools to take a comprehensive approach to school safety that considers their local contexts and policies, the different environments that safety strategies can be implemented in, as well as the equitable response of these strategies to ensure that firearm secure storage is a part of a school's comprehensive safety plan. And we have numerous resources available on our website about our approach to comprehensive school safety, how to address this from multiple angles, and I'm happy to share those resources as well as these slides. This was already touched on, but I'll just reiterate it again that when a student brings a firearm to school, it is most often the case that they acquired or got that firearm from their own home or from the home of a family or friends. Hence the importance of comprehensive secure storage, having conversations, and when families are educated about the effective methods of secure storage as an effective way to prevent firearm violence and death, gaining that buy-in, they're more likely to adopt the safe storage practices, and this has the potential to reduce the risk of unintentional injury. As schools, you're a credible messenger in your community, and you already have established communication channels, and you know your context best in the different ways in which your families or members of the community best respond to information or how best to reach them, whether that's through email, through parent-teacher conferences, and leveraging these multiple channels of communications that are already established to ensure that you're reaching families about this important information about secure storage. And, lastly, most importantly, why we're all here is that secure storage saves lives. When both firearms and ammunitions are stored securely and separately, children have a 78% lower risk of self-inflicted firearm injuries and an 86% lower risk of unintentional firearm injuries. So again, stressing the effectiveness of secure storage, gaining the buy-in from the community of why it matters, and then communicating across multiple channels are kind of the key takeaways and things that we best recommend when communicating this new information. Next slide. So the National Center for School Safety will be releasing a communications toolkit very soon that goes more in depth about some of the things that I discussed today, and even includes sample messaging or templates for schools to use when communicating this new secure storage laws. So if you want to be the first to know about when that is released, we recommend that you sign up for our newsletter, and it will be emailed directly to you as part of that. I have a number of other resources here on this slide that I encourage you to check out at our website at nc2s.org. And lastly, this is a lot to take on as one person or team. So we are here to help at the Michigan School Safety Initiative. We are free technical assistance to any pre-K-12 school in the state of Michigan who has questions about school safety, need help finding resources, or would like to talk more in depth about their school safety plans. So we are here, we're available, and thank you for the time.
Appreciate that, Lisa, or excuse me, Brianna. Dr. Scott, I apologize for that. We appreciate the perspective from the IFIP. Next, we have Colonel Grady as the Director of Michigan State Police. He's going to explain why law enforcement strongly supports secure firearm storage as a responsible practice and outline how the Michigan State Police and law enforcement agencies can partner with school districts to provide resources and support. Colonel Grady.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me be a part of this webinar. Again, I am Colonel James Grady, the second Director of the Michigan State Police, and I can tell you that this is something that we definitely support and advocate for is gun safety here in the state of Michigan. The secure storage law, again, it's already been touched upon, but it requires that firearms be stored in a locked container, and if not, a container secured with a locking device. Especially when a minor is likely to be present. It's so important that we do that as adults. Here in Michigan, and my take on it is that safety is the well-being of Michigan students and our school personnel and in our homes. I believe wholeheartedly that education and preparedness are our strongest defenses against violence in schools and unsecured weapons. We have to work together. I mean, it takes everybody, educators, our law enforcement personnel, our students, so that we can create a safe and supportive environment for every child, focusing on their safety and every community safety as it pertains to firearms. And look, I don't want to bore everyone with a bunch of statistics, but they do oftentimes tell a compelling story. We've heard some this morning being provided in some of our speakers. In 2020, firearm-related injuries surpassed motor vehicle crashes as a leading cause of death among children and teens. This means that more of our youth are being killed by gun violence than dying in traffic crashes. In Michigan, homicide or murder is the second leading cause of death amongst 10 to 24-year-olds. And in our country, 17.5% of students report having carried a weapon in the last 30 days. So, look, these statistics tell us that, unsecured weapons and that gun violence is a real threat to our young people. And I know that that's something that each one of you are concerned about. I know as a proud father of four, I am as well. I take these things seriously. But I have to admit that there's no doubt in my mind that some and probably most of those guns are from homes where it is easily accessible for the youth or the minor to have access to because they're unsecured. I'll touch on what we're seeing in Michigan this morning. So again, one secured gun is one too many, and one death or serious injury is one too many in my eyes. And I'm sure many of you will agree with that. When you start talking about what we see in the law enforcement world across the state, I had some information provided by the Michigan's State Police's Criminal Justice Information Center. These are approximate numbers, but in 2024 and 2025, the Michigan State Police, we were either dispatched or investigated or responded to 8 safe storage violations. Our locals received about 22 of those dispatch runs where they also took on cases and investigated safe storage violations. Listen, 30 is too many. 15 a year, approximately in the last 2 years, is too many. That number should be 0. And what it leads to, as we know, and we've seen it, are incidents like the Oxford High School incident. We just don't need those tragic incidents taking place here with gun violence in the state of Michigan. And it's because it's a lack of responsibility, and the parents should be held accountable when they're not keeping those guns safe. This is why we have participated and made sure that I think, again, the first thing that you lead to is education. So stop a plot. I like to touch on that briefly. 53% of the mass attacks leave a trail of clues leading up to them. Oftentimes that includes our youth. 76% of attackers had some type of concerning communication or elicited concerns from others. Again, that includes our youth. For 59% of those attackers, the first of these behaviors started over a year before the attack. Again, that includes our youth. And again, they are gaining access to unsecured weapons. This is why we have the incidents that we see not only in Michigan, but across the country. If you see something of concern, this is what we're telling people, that you need to speak up. We all play a part in providing safety to the communities that we reside in. That's how we have striving communities where you can walk down the street or drive to work and feel safe. And I'm a firm believer that any child that's attending school, any school administrator or any of the school personnel, the teachers there, they should be able to walk in there and feel safe and do their job. And the children should be there to learn. Some other school safety initiatives that we participated in last year, the year before, we initiated the School Safety Academy program. This is organized by MSP's Office of School Safety, where we've engaged over, almost at this point, close to just a shade under 2,000 personnel in 6 sessions around the state. It's a free 2-day academy, and it includes topics such as emergency planning, which also includes gun safety, mental health and resiliency, safety training, suicide prevention, and first aid. Oftentimes we miss that when we start talking about unsecured weapon. This is how the youth are, on some occasions they're using these weapons to commit suicide or they hurt one of their siblings. Uh, to add to that, we added the Youth Violence Prevention Summit last year, again, touching on a lot of the same areas, discussions on violence prevention, intervention methods, against violence, digital safety, mental health, and preparedness. It's always interesting when we often have these discussions, we don't provide a seat at the table for the youth. We've got to get them involved. They're the ones that's dealing with it. They're the ones that oftentimes know what's going on at their, and not only in their homes, in their community, but also in their schools. So it's so important to make sure that provide them a seat at the table. And in doing this, that's exactly what our intentions are, is to hear directly from them on how we can do better as adults. With that initiative, almost 1,000 students we had opportunity to engage with last year, between students and their chaperones and school staff or faculty that participated. Another initiative that MSP is doing to combat unsecured weapons and gun safety is, again, another initiative for education, mainly with our youth and in our communities. I made sure back in 2024, I made some changes to our community service troopers who are interactive with our communities across the state every day. 18 full-time troopers have been assigned to work in the schools to, again, provide that gun safety education and awareness. Those presentations are being provided to youth and the faculty there. So we're doing everything that we can to give those intervention strategies and make sure that our youth are being educated that, you don't need to touch a gun. It's okay to remind your parents that, the gun is sitting on a desk or on a couch or, it's sitting on top of some type of a shelf in a room. We've got to let them know that it's okay for them to speak up and remind their parents that that weapon is unsecured and therefore making it unsafe for them and other people in their household. Okay to say, I know many of you know about okay to say, but it's a great way for, again, in efforts to prevent violence with different unsecured weapons or weapons or school violence. This is an anonymous way for either through email or a phone call or through the web or through text. We even have apps for students to place on their phone. This will stop the silence. They can provide to us confidential report tips that they can report to us. And this is what we need. We need this so that we can curb and combat any type of criminal activity, any type of potential harm that is directed towards the students, the school employees, or schools, or within our own home. So we are doing everything that we can, again, to work with our youth, with our communities, and with all of that, we are also partnered with our state and local and federal partners. One great example of that is we have a great initiative that we have with in lockstep with MDHHS, where we work with Director Hertel and her staff to provide 75,000 gun locks, aiming to prevent unauthorized access by children and insurance compliance with Michigan safe storage laws. These are the type of initiatives that we need across the state. We must continue them. These gun locks at that time they could be provided, and they still can to this day, at any of the MDHH's county offices, their health departments, and through, again, law enforcement agencies across Michigan. And that includes the Michigan State Police. You can go to any of your local posts across the state, and we can get you a free gun lock, no questions asked. And we will continue here at the State Police to fight hand in hand with everybody to ensure that we keep our youth safe. So again, thanks for having me. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, sir.
Thank you, Colonel Grady. We appreciate that. Michigan State Police being advocates for our families. And just locally here at for Kelleysville, I know the the local law enforcement agencies that we work with have been great with providing us information, and also with gun locks that we continue to hand out to our families. So it's a great partnership. We will now open the webinar to questions. There is a Q&A section on the webinar. You can also enter them into chats, and we will try to send those questions to the right people to get those answered. You can type them directly into that Q&A portion or the chat feature as well. Just have one comment so far. It says, thank you so much for including safe messaging information and talk about how important that is. So I absolutely agree with that. Do not have any questions at this time. Feel free to, again, type those in there while you're doing that. Here's another statement here. Every school does the mandate to provide information include private and parochial schools. So you may want to take that one. When they say every school, does it mandate every private and parochial?
Hi, this is Mary. Yeah, the law specifies non-public schools, so they are included.
Perfect, thank you. Here's another one. Going back to the threat and suicide assessments and including safe storage resources. Can you please elaborate, provide suggestions that boards can discuss with administration? That one focuses on the threat and suicide assessments, safe storage resources. Somebody want to take that one as well?
I'm not a panelist, but End Gun Violence Michigan is happy to have a chat with you about Amanda. I can put my email in the chat.
Great, thank you. Here's another one. Thank you for the information. How can school security staff get additional gun locks for parent meetings? Locally at Kellogg'sville, we just worked with, shout out to the Wyoming Police Department, the Kentwood Police Department. I've worked with the local agencies on getting those. So we just asked to get as many as they can get their hands on, and we offer those at the building levels. We also provide those at parent meetings, like you referenced there, Mr. Johnson. That's how we handle it.
I'll chime in real quick. This is Colonel Grady from MSP. You can contact your local state police posts wherever you are residing or wherever your facility is. If you're working for a school, feel free to contact the post. They'll get a hold of one of our CSTs, and we'll work on getting you whatever you need for free gun locks.
Thank you, sir. Another comment. Thanks for all the resources. Here's a question. Can someone mention the effect on the CAP, secure firearm storage law enforcement on public awareness of responsibilities and penalties around firearm storage?
So I'll just chime in here real quick. So the penalties will differ a lot. They can be anywhere from a misdemeanor to a felony, depending upon the circumstances. If a youth has access to a weapon that was unsecured and there is injury, if it's discharged and someone is hurt, if a fatality take place, of course, all of those are felonies. Otherwise, some of the other charges can just lead to misdemeanors. Ultimately, it's our job as law enforcement officers to conduct the investigations. We submit them to the prosecutor's office, and they will make the final decision on charging.
Great. Thank you, sir. Another comment. The Vets Administration has been helpful in obtaining gun locks. Another good idea there. Any other questions or comments we can get answered for you? If there's anybody else typing, just while we're doing that, I just want to thank again everybody who joined us today. And a special thank you to our guest speakers for their leadership, expertise, and their continued advocacy for secure firearm storage and family education as well. It's important that we all continue to fight this together. So certainly appreciate everybody being part of it. I don't see any other questions. Oh, here's some, I'm sorry. Is NDE monitoring school boards' efforts to spread the information? Mary, do you want to take that one?
Sorry, having a hard time finding a. Um, so you're asking about the compliance piece of it.
Yes.
The compliance is left at the local level. There isn't anything about that in the legislation. So usually when the legislation is mute on things like that, that's handled at the local level.
Perfect. Thank you. Another question. Any ideas for getting information for emergency contacts, as they are likely to not be receiving the regular communications of the school district? I'm assuming that this person is referring to the emergency contacts in the school information system, not just the parents. Just I can answer from the local school district standpoint. We only send out our communications to the parents that are listed there and not the emergency contacts. So we are hopeful that our parents are giving that information to, especially when it comes to secure storage, to their family members, the emergency contacts, when it comes to keeping their students safe. But also, through parent meetings and tables set up at community events, things of that sort. We also offer that to just community members in general. Then another comment, that means we should be encouraging our local districts to send out this information. That is correct. I do not have any other questions at this time. Check the chats. Yep, nothing on there either. We
I would like
appreciate your
to,
commitment to keeping our schools community safe. And I'll turn it back over to Alyssa.
Yeah, I would just like to share from End Gun Violence Michigan. Thank you, Superintendent Alston. The question in the chat about if anyone is looking to see if districts are sending this out. End Gun Violence Michigan, we want to know if your district has sent this out because that helps us to know where there are gaps in reaching parents with this information. So we have a form for our volunteers and our advocates to fill out to let us know that they've seen their district send this out, but we also welcome school districts to report to us that you've sent the information out, and that bit.ly is I'm going to send that in the chat for everyone, just in case you would like to get in touch with us about your efforts. So thank you so much again for coming today. I'll give it a couple more seconds for any struggling questions, and then we'll wrap up. You will all get a follow-up email from me with the slides and the recording. All right, if there are no further questions, panelists, do you have any last words or resources that you want to share before we wrap?
I want to thank everybody for being part of it. It's important information.
I'd just like to say as a director of the Michigan State Police, we are happy to partner with anybody that's on this webinar today. If you're having some type of school or community function, we're here to partner with you. Thank you for having me.
And again, one last plug, the Michigan School Safety Initiative provides free assistance for all school districts in the state of Michigan regarding anything related to school safety. So please reach out to us if we can even just answer a quick question that you may have, or quick questions to even like longer consultations. So whatever it is, we're here and to support you in these efforts, and thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I'll go ahead and end the webinar. Take care.